Namaste everyone. My name is Vaishali Shah. I welcome each one of you to our session on Hindu culture and lifestyle, a book series on our Facebook page hinduscriptures.com. As promised, we have a very eminent guest today who's going to talk about various topics related to Mahabharata. So before we start, let's do a small prayer. Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwara, Guru Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasmai Shri Guru Namaha. So welcome Jijitg. How are you? Welcome to
Yeah,
our
welcome.
session.
Namaste.
Namaste.
I'm fine. Yes.
Yeah. Before I start, I would like to share a small introduction about you to our audience because I'm not sure how many people would be aware about your work. So he is a former scientist at Satish Dhawan Space Research Center, ISRO. He has worked as part of Chandrayaan 1 study phase at VSCC ISRO and GSLV D1, D2, FO1 and FO2 launches at SDSC ISRO, contributed to SRE, RLV and GSLV MK3 projects. I'm sure those who are not very technical, they might find it difficult, but in short, he has worked on various aspects of Chandrayaan, which I'm sure you know that we launched some time back. He is a researcher of Veda Itihas, Puranas, focusing on Mahabharat geography, authored many research papers on Mahabharat geography and other topics and presented them in international conferences. Creator of Ancient Voice, Nalanda, Takshashila, and Recent Voice wiki websites with features similar to Wikipedia, focusing on Veda, Itihas, Puran, 18 Upanishads, Tirukalar, my goodness, Sila, Pati, Karam, uh, Elad, Odyssey, Vendidog, my goodness. Other Avastan text totaling around 35,000 pages, 20,000 unique nouns, and millions of hyperlinks. This is the world's only such wiki site containing the 18 Parvas of Mahabharata, 17 Kandas of Ramayana, 4 Vedas, 18 Upanishads, Vishnu Puran, Tamil, Greek, and Avastan texts, one of the oldest and largest Dhamik portal. Creator of the Bharat Varsha, maps with 200 plus Janapadas, cities, towns, villages, rivers, forests, lakes mentioned in the Itihas and Purana. Artist focusing on Mahabharat paintings. Now focused on Dharma Digital, a 21st century futuristic platform to promote Dharma with holograms of Aitihasic personalities capable of human interaction in real or virtual worlds using AR and VR technology. Contributed articles to Swarajya, India Facts, My India, My Glory, Indic Today, DNA newspaper, and speaks through platforms like Sangam Talks, Indus University, Prajna Bharati, Indica, Dharma Digital, and others. So, welcome, Jijitg. I'm so pleased to have you on our conversational platform on this show. So, I think I would like to know how did you, because your background is quite different. So, how did you get into this? It's a different topic from what you have studied and worked upon.
Yeah, yes. So I have talked about it in different talks, but in brief, from childhood onwards, I have got exposure to Mahabharata in a very light format. That is called the Amar Chitra Katha. That is a lot of pictorial representation of Mahabharata by our Uncle Pai. This is called Paiko Classic. So that was something like a kind of a supplementary educational text for me. I have treated it like that. So fortunately, I got into a different track compared to other kids because I was exposed to this entire the volume of Mahabharat. It was around when I was around 10 years to 15 years. They have published it in a big series. So I have looked at that, and then slowly I gone through that, and there were some maps in that, so that again created interest in creating maps of my own. And then there are some lot of paintings, so I made paintings of Pandavas and Krishna and all. So everything started with that, and then I got into a little more detailed original Mahabharat unabridged versions of the text, etc. So so slowly I got inducted into the entire research of Mahabharat, especially like uh, as part of the work in ISRO. Again, I was having some exposure to the Saraswati River mapping kind of research journals that was there in ISRO libraries. So ISRO is one of the pioneer organization which has studied the entire Saraswati River basin and created the surface maps and conclusively proved that it is a ancient river. So I carry that legacy as well. Yeah, so I think that answers your questions.
Yes, yes.
Uh,
So I am glad to know that you started very well, because not many people get a chance to know scriptures, in a younger age, and that too in so much length. So then, like, how hasn't you have taken voluntary retirement? Are you still working with ISRO? What is your profile, and are you, or maybe what are you doing currently?
Yeah, right. So I have worked ISRO like around 5 years, 6 years, and then subsequently I have gone into the IT, mostly onto the similar kind of research areas. Some of them in related automobiles, some related defense, and some again related to the space avionics kind of the same kind of work that is being done in ISRO. So that kind of research activities and still continuing as a professional in IT as a creative director in one of the largest IT company in India, international company. And at the same time, I have the last thing I have that is there in my profile. It is the Dharma Digital is something like a technology as well as the ancient knowledge. I'm trying to bring that together. So it involves some holograms and 3D virtual characters, which can be like appear in the real world using the virtual reality or augmented reality kind of. So it is the same technology that is used in the latest like you can say the most cutting edge technology just started in 2016. So that kind of technology we are trying to bring in for the propagation of dharma.
Very nice. Very, very interesting. So then how did you enter the research of Mahabharata then?
Yeah, yes. So the research of Mahabharata, as I said, I started the moment I started reading that Amar Chitragatha in around 10 years of age. From that, just reading some that kind of pictorial books. One by one, I have. So it's a parallel. Whatever work I do, like I was in ISRO as a scientist, I was in the IT professional. It was continuing parallelly,
Okay.
but one of the key milestone in that research is from 2005 onwards, I have started contributing article to the Wikipedia on very specific information about kingdoms in Mahabharat. And around 2004, I created a very big map of Bharatavarsha. And then in 2008, again, I have expanded that map. So these maps are there in around 200 to 700 websites. They are using the same map. In Wikipedia, it is there. In the ancient voice, it is there. And then around 2019 November, another milestone, I created my own website called Ancient Voice. And I continued contributing into that website on Mahabharata, the Rigveda, all the four Vedas, Vishnu Purana, and all this information, Ramayana. And I was searching for the information, anything available in the internet, and created Wikipedia kind of a format. So it is like the Wikipedia is around millions of wiki pages, but this is around 25,000 wiki pages. But Wikipedia is created by millions, I think maybe 100,000 editors. This is
Right.
25,000 pages, completely my contribution. So it is a
Lovely.
single person contribution. So there I have created this Veda Itihasa Puran, the entire encyclopedia in wiki format, which means that when you go to the site, it will be similar to Wikipedia. You will see hyperlinks for each noun. If you look at Yudhishthira, you click on that. it goes to a noun page where the entire information about Yudhishthira in every parva, every adhyaya of Mahabharata, that will be there. And in that you may be seeing, okay, Yudhishthira talk to Bhima, like that the context is there. Then Bhima is another hyperlink. You click on that, you get another, all the information about Bhima and all the children of the 5 Pandavas, which are which not very easy for everybody to remember. So very rare characters. So the Pandavas are mentioned hundreds of times in Mahabharata. Some rare characters like Pradardana or Yutahavya, they are mentioned only few 4 or 5 times. There are places like Varanavati or some other very obscure names like Manipura, which is mentioned only 4 or 5 times. So all these things you can
Manipura
actually,
is the present time Manipur?
yeah, actually I have made that entire
See
analysis.
that map. Yeah, we'll do that. But
Yeah.
before we reach there, I would like to know, have you given the timeline of Mahabharata? Have you studied anything on that? Because I've been discussing this with many authors before you.
Oh, right.
I was wondering that, have you put up the timeline for it?
Yes. So I have recently made a talk which is a consolidation of all the research that has gone from as much till 2020. So it was like a stock taking of all the chronology research that has happened. So I consider myself as a external observer for the chronology because I myself, my expertise area is geography. So Mahabharata geography is one subject of Mahabharata. Chronology is another subject of Mahabharata.
True, very true. But have you tried to look up?
Yes.
Yes.
Correct.
So what do you think? When did it happen?
Correct. So to come to that, I have to put some background information. So
Please.
since chronology is kind of a subject from in which I've looked as an outside observer, how I do is that I compare the different dates of different Kurukshetra chronology, Mahabharata chronologies, Kurukshetra war dates. So I have instead of looking at a particular date and sticking to that, because I cannot do that because I'm an observer, I compare the different chronology dates, and the dates span from 3200 BC to around 1500 BC as of now. So currently we have to say that, okay, it is in a range. And I am also part of arranging some conferences to maybe narrow down the range. So I give good support to the dates like of Vedavir Arya, whom you have interviewed some
Yes,
time back. And then there is Manish Pandit. Maybe you should have a talk with him also. So they have dates which are around between 3200 to 3000 BC. In that range, it is there. Then there are other friends. All of these are my friends. So there is Ashok Bhatnagar, who gives a date of 1792 BC. Mohan Gupta, there is a 1952 BC kind of. And then there is Ramamurthy, 1500 BC, somewhere around 50.
Their dates are not matching with each other, you mean?
Yeah, they are not. We can say that these independent researchers has come with the dates. They are very strong dates. They have their own arguments for that dates, like supporting their dates. Like each of the date have a lot of parameters which support them.
Yeah, I
And
understand.
currently we are in that state. So maybe in the next 1 or 2 years, we will get a debate between
a better idea. Because
debate
when I go to and talk to any Vedic acharya or any kathakar, so of course their dates are very clear, 3200, which is 5300 from now.
Yes.
Total date. And that is a date they count as the beginning of Kali Yuga and the end of Krishna's life. So
Correct.
almost that era they are very clear with. Anyways,
Yes.
coming back to our subject, so what all have you observed in Mahabharata? Like, for example, what were the kingdoms? Because you mentioned that
Yes,
there are many kingdoms who are there in Kurukshetra war. So do you think the whole of India, even South India, was participating, or it was only the North India? Because one of the viewers has written this comment that we would like to know whether people from South or kings from South also participated or not.
Yes, very much. Actually, this is one of the important thing that I talk in my all the talks which I bring forth. That
Right.
Mahabharata is a kind of a integrating kind of a text.
Right.
and it has representation of all the different places in the current Bharatvarsh or India, which we now call India. So if you go into the Mahabharata, you can see three kingdoms: Pandya, Kerala, and Chola. And they are very much closer to the current names. Kerala is anyway, it is having the same name, the state of Kerala. The Pandya and Chola, these are kingdoms which are currently part of Tamil Nadu. So there are two big rivers in Tamil Nadu. One is Kaveri, and on the banks of Kaveri is the Chola kingdom, and there is another Vaigai, which is the further south, and you have a Pandya kingdom centered around Vaigai. Madurai is the capital of Pandya, and Pukar is the capital of Chola. So these three kingdoms, then Kerala is there. They have participated in the Mahabharata war, siding with the Pandavas. And there are a lot of other athihams also, that they prepared food for the Pandavas, Kauravas, contributed different kinds of armies, like chariots, and then so many informations are available in the Mahabharata. And the most important part of it is that it is in the core text itself. Like the core text of Mahabharata is the Yuddha Parvas, that is like Bhishma, Drona, then Karna, Shalya, and then Ashwadhama. These generals, the four generals of Duryodhana army. So the battle under this Bhishma for 10 days, that is the Bhishma Parva. And after that, Drona was the commander for 5 days, and that is Drona Parva. And after that, for 2 days, Karna was the commander. So the Karna Parva. After that, 1 day, Shalya was the commander. And the last day, night, Ashwathama. So this is very clearly a very core part of the Kurukshetra war Mahabharata text. In that, there is multiple reference of Pandyas and Cholas and Kerlas. Their armies are fighting from the side of the Pandavas. And sometimes the kings also mentioned, like the Saranga Dhwaja is the name of the king of the Pandyas. He was battling Karna, and then he died in that battle. So everything very clearly mentioned, and this is something like is information that we need to highlight and spread, and it helps to make this the people in the south aware that they are very much well integrated into the Bharatiya Sanskriti, and this is something I always tell.
This is very interesting because this divide of Dravides, different people,
Yes.
Aryans, and all that mess which is being created by so-called scholars in the Europe.
Yeah. Yes.
I think we have a long war to fight this back and give the facts from the scriptures, so
Hmm.
that jitne bhi wo log hai, those who are trying to create another divide as south and north, they
Hmm.
should know that all everything was one, and even now it can be one, because
Yes.
culturally we are just the same. It's
Yes.
only
Yes.
language, food, and apna, the looks maybe, and those
Yes.
those are very basic features, maybe different hai, but our gods, our rituals, our scriptures, our main essence of Indianness, the Hinduness,
Yes.
और द वो सारा सब कुछ एक है. I mean, there we have absolutely no difference between north and south. So
Yes. Yes.
going to the next question is, can you explain the travel narratives of Pandavas? Because
Ah.
when you said they traveled almost all across India, then where did they go? I think
Yeah.
you
Yes.
have also created the map. I would like to see the map as well,
Yeah. Yes.
of the country. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and I will talk about the travel and a few words about that Dravida. Another important point I want to say is that many people think that the entire South India is called Dravida, and there was another group called Aryan in the north, and there was a kind of a fight between these two. It's completely a ideological warfare. There is nothing like that mentioned anywhere in our I have studied very thoroughly Veda, Itihasa, Puranas. So all the three levels of text I have studied, never, nothing is there. In the Mahabharata, you can see Dravida coming as a separate kingdom, similar to the Pandya, Chola, and Kerala. So that is where it is in reality. And the Dravida as a kind of, you can say, very rarely it is mentioned as a combination of Chola, Pandya, Kerala, but most of the time it is an individual independent kingdom. So that itself breaks away all these wrong narratives about the conflict between Aryan, Dravidian, etc. Second important fact is the Ravana has an ancestry which is from the north, uh, because he is like descendant of Visravas and the Pulastya kings, Pulastya sages. They are part of the Saptarshis. And very strangely, Rama's mother is from the south. Not exactly, but it is from the Chhattisgarh. So he has got a southern connection also. And Rama is dark skinned. Ravana is most of the time almost very vaguely he is mentioned as white skinned. So where is that Aryan Dravidian division, or even based on color, or based on the ancestry, based on geography, doesn't make any sense. So just wanted to tell a few words about it.
Wonderful. Yes. Thank you. Yeah.
And I will maybe talk about the travel narrative. Before that, I will just have a glimpse of the geographical maps that I have made, so that it makes much more sense. I'll just share it, if I can share my screen. Yeah. So what you are seeing is the one of the maps I have of the Bharatavarsha, which is similar to the you can say the state level map of Bharatavarsha, but there are no boundaries. That is because the ancient kingdoms, they are not actually 100% bounded by a kind of a concept of a boundary. But you can see, because this is a very high level map, many of the rivers of Bharatavarsha serve as a boundary of each kingdom. Sometimes the mountains will serve as the boundary. Since this is a high level map, I cannot show the boundary, but you can basically understand. And if you look at this map, because I don't want to go into details, on the left hand side you see so many names of kingdoms, and this is the amount of information that you have on the Janapadas. So I just summarized, it's around 250 kingdoms or Janapadas of Bharatavarsha is very clearly you can discover in the Mahabharata. And if you look at today's, there are 739 districts today in India and 28 states. So you can see that the density of the Janapadas mentioned in Mahabharata is higher than the states. That is, it's anyway, it lies in between 739 to districts to 28 states. So it's almost like 2-3 districts forming a Janapada of the ancient Mahabharata period. And before I talk about the travel narratives, the major kingdoms, if people can see the pointer here, people can see the pointer. Yeah. So the Kuru is there. The Kuru is the central kingdom, and there is a Panchala here, and then the Kosala and Kashi. These are the Kosala. This is a map of Mahabharata, but the Kosala and Kashi are the kingdoms which is very prominently mentioned in Ramayana. They are also there in Mahabharata, exactly in the same location. And this is one reason why we say that entire thing is historical in nature. Nothing is imaginary, nothing is cooked up. So you see the Panchalas and Kurus and Panchalas are there prominently into the Uttar Pradesh, the western Uttar Pradesh region. And you have Kosala Kashi to the eastern Uttar Pradesh. Kashi, anyway, everybody knows it's Varanasi is the capital. Then Kosala, Ayodhya. Then Videha, Magadha, and Anga. To the east, there is the Pundra, Sukhma, Vanga, like that. And Assam is more or less represented as Lauhitya here. And to the south, you have Chola, Pandya, Kerala, and you can see here Kishkinda is there. Then Karnataka, which gives the ancient name of Karnataka here. The Dravida is here, like I have mentioned just some time back. Dravida is a separate kingdom. Chola, Pandya, Kerala is separate. Kishkinda for Hanuman, and then Anartha and Dwaraka of Krishna. Then in the currently Pakistan, you have that Kekeya, Madra, Trikrita, Sindhu, Sivi, Sauvira. Here in the middle, Matsya, Salva, Avanti, Heya, Vidarbha. Vidarbha is Nala the Mayandi, if you remember. Then there is a Dandakaranya here. So this map, if you have a glimpse of it, then I can say, just like in Ramayana, Ramayana is basically the Ayana or the travel of Rama. And it is very famous. Rama traveled from Kosala and then slowly he reached Kishkinda, passing through Dandakaranya, he reached Kishkinda, and from there he reached Pandya and then go to Lanka. This is a very well-known kind of a very well-known kind of a travel narrative that people are very familiar. I am just drawing here actually. It's something like this. He has traveled and then he reached here. This is very well known. But what I am talking about, the Mahabharata geography, and in that travel narratives, similar kind of travels are mentioned of our heroes, the 5 Pandavas. So, for example, there is a event called Rajasuya of Yudhishthira. So the Yudhishthira make the Rajasuya somewhere in Delhi, Indraprastha, that is Delhi. So somewhere in here, actually in Delhi, he is making the Rajasuya, and he sent his 4 brothers, Arjuna, Bhima, Nakula, and Sadeva, in 4 directions. And that is the main travel narrative. It is part of my research papers, which I have explained in detail. But this talk is a 40-minute talk. I'm just summarizing it. So these are the 4 travel narratives. Just like in Ramayana, there is Rama's travel narrative from Ayutthaya to Lanka. Here you see the 4 travel narratives where Arjuna, Bhima, Nakula, Sadeva are traveling. So Arjuna is traveling to north, and it is going somewhere like this. He travels somewhere like this. He is defeating these kingdoms, all these kingdoms, and then there is an Indus River, and he passed through like that, and somewhere reaches this Kailas, somewhere close to the Kailas he reached. And this entire in the entire travel, he gets a lot of wealth in the northern. It's a little more farther here, actually, because the map ends here, so I am just drawing it like this. But it's a little more northward, and he gets a lot of wealth from that region, and then that is the way he is called Dhananjaya, because he gained a lot of wealth from the northern region. Because even in the historical period, the Silk Road, etc., was passing through the same northern region. So maybe we might have to assume maybe some ancient Silk Road was there, and there were a lot of travel goods moving around. So he is able to get a lot of wealth from this region. Then Yudhishthira is sending Bhima to the east. So he is traveling like this. Bhima Sena, the second Pandava, is moving like this eastwards. And he is mentioned as defeating all these kingdoms, Dasharna Chedi. He goes to Kosala also. He defeats that, and Videha, Magadha. And he goes all the way to Assam. So the Lauhitya is mentioned there. Bhima is going like this. And the Nakula Sadeva, the twins, the eldest one is sent to the west. So he just basically goes like this, somewhat following Arjuna, and then going like this. Then you can say he was into Pakistan, in current Pakistan. So he just goes around like this. Then here he meets Krishna here, and finally he goes back and reaches here, like returns back to the Yudhishthira. And the last person, Sadeva, the youngest Pandava, and many people don't know, like not much is known about Sadeva, but he was having the longest travel. Because just like Sri Rama, he has to travel all the way to south. So he is traveling like this Malsyas, this Kunti, Avanti, that is his mother's kingdom. And Avanti, he is making big battles here. And then he goes like this. All these kingdoms he is passing through. He goes to Kishkinda. The descendants of Vanaras were there. He fights with them. Then he comes to Karnataka. Something a matter of pride for Karnatakas, and then goes here and comes to Kerala, and then Pandya, Chola, like that he goes, and somewhere here Kalinga, he reaches somewhere Kalinga, and then returns back. So this is the entire travel narrative that you can actually, if you go read Mahabharata, the unabridged versions, you can read it out. But in my research papers, you can actually get more analysis on what are the different possibilities. I mean, what I saw is just one of some places. You can say there are multiple possibilities where he has traveled, because there is some uncertainty there. All these things are detailed in my research papers. So anybody who wants to know details, they can go to some of the research papers. If they contact me, I can tell about that. So this is in a nutshell. Just in a 10 minutes, I have described about travel narratives. So if you now look at this, it has covered the entire uh, Bharatavarsha. So there is like, it's something like an integration. It's like something similar to the national integration, basically.
No, but this is current Bharatvarsh, or you are talking about the extended one? It's still Afghanistan, isn't it?
Yeah. This is I'm talking about geographically the same Bharatvarsh, but the names are different. So
Yes, but
basically,
geographically, does it include Pakistan,
right.
Afghanistan, Nepal, Bhutan, and does it go further till
Right.
Far
Yeah.
East?
I would say. So
Yeah,
the Pakistan is certainly included in the Nakula's travels.
obviously, yeah.
So you can see like this red color thing are mountains actually.
Yeah.
So most of their travels are confined in text. Since there are no there is no Pakistan border here, so we cannot exactly know it, recognize it. But if you look at the geographical map of Pakistan, this also forms the boundary of Pakistan. This particular mountains, because in Bharatavarsha is bounded by both in the north, west, and east. Three directions of Bharatavarsha is bounded by mountains.
True.
So these three brothers, Nakula and Bhima and Sahadev, they are confined to these mountains. That also means that they definitely goes to the Pakistan, because nothing prevents them from going to that territory. And
But not Afghanistan.
Afghanistan, very just briefly touching. South Afghanistan is touched, and because Arjuna is actually crossing the mountains little bit. These mountains, he crossed these mountains and gone to some of the northern the Trans-Himalayan regions. That is
Okay.
very clearly gone from the narrative. So he has touched Afghanistan, definitely we can say. Southern part of the Afghanistan he has definitely touched.
What about the eastern side? Like we have Burma, those countries on the eastern side, Indonesia, because they have
Right.
their own narratives about Mahabharata. So are they included in your research? And
Right.
have you thought anything about those countries?
Yeah. So the oldest, I mean, the easternmost that Bhima is mentioned as traveling is Lauhitya. Lauhitya is identified with the Brahmaputra River, and you can say he has reached as much as the foothills of Arunachal Pradesh. And what has happened is, after the entire Mahabharata events are over, our Sanskriti was spread just like a wind blowing to the east. Bharatiya Sanskriti is spread further to the eastern side. That is, there are a lot of kings. Anyway, Kambojas. Here the Kambojas are here. There it is. There, Kamboja. Here it is. So the Kamboja kings has gone to the northeast, and they have the Cambodia kingdom. Cambodia, that comes from that name. The same Kambojas, they first came to Vankadesha, and then they established some sea trade, seafaring kingdoms. They created ships and boats. They went to the northeast, to the Southeast Asia. They founded many kingdoms like Cambodia, Kampuchea, the currently we call Cambodia. Similarly, the Cholas. Here, the Chola is there. The Chola kings. This is the Mahabharata Chola, but historically they have spread entire as much as this much region. Entire South India they have spread. From the Chola, very powerful navy was there. They went to the Southeast Asia. They also made a lot of kingdoms there. So both from the north and both from the south, from north and south, Hindu kings went to all the eastern countries, including Burma, then Indonesia,
Right.
and all the Southeast Asia. So entire narrative is spread there. So you can see Ayutthaya. Ayutthaya is actually a city which is named after Ayodhya. So that is because they have taken that cultural elements like names of places and names of rivers, etc., into other their own native places. So you can there is a river named Airavati, that is a Ravi River. Currently, it is called Ravi River. Airavati is the older name. That name, same river name. This is Airavati. It goes into Burma. There is a Iravati River. So that name get copied. So and Burma was known as Brahma Desha. Southeast Asia was named as Suvarna Bhumi. Suvarna Bhumi and Yavadvipa. Yavadvipa is the Java Islands. And Suvarna Bhumi is a Sumatra actually. And Swarna Dvipa is the entire Southeast Asia is known as Swarna Dvipa in our later, not in Mahabharat, but in the later text. That is the time when we moved to the eastern side.
So
And
what
it is,
about China?
yeah, yes. So in this, in the list of kingdoms, there is one mention of China. China is mentioned as a kingdom. If in the list of the in this entire, I have mentioned 250 kingdoms. In that, one of the kingdom is mentioned as China. You can see here, China is there. So the reason is that during the period of Mahabharat, there was a tribe with the name China, somewhere close to the Trans-Himalayan region. And the China is always mentioned along with the Darada, Cambodia. Here is a Darada is here, Darada and Cambojas. Darada, Cambodia, like these kingdoms. So this is a kingdom very close to these other kingdoms, like Rishika is there. So along with that, Loha is there. Loha is the Leh. Leh, currently the city of Leh, actually in the Mahabharata it is mentioned Loha. So somewhere around that region, the China is mentioned. So this is an area where many of the researchers have not studied. And my theory is that the entire mainland of China, that name they got from this small kingdom, which is the China kingdom that was there in the somewhat smaller kingdom in the Himalaya.
So how
In the
could it that, but no, but that China is that one particular region, because China as a country is huge. So
correct,
how come that whole region got that name as China?
yeah, because the Mahabharata is very old, right? So when I say, but I just talked about the Kurukshetra war datings. The youngest date I am mentioning is 1500 BC of Ramurti. If I go with Vedavirarya, it is around 3167 BC. So such an old time, there was a small kingdom, and after thousands of years, maybe they have gone to the east coast of that area, what we call China, the Beijing, the Pacific Ocean. They might have gone migrated to the Pacific Ocean, and they might have created a big kingdom there, a big empire. The Chinese empire start growing there, and because all these things happened at minimum 1000 BC, the Chinese history goes to 1000 BC, 2000 BC, etc. And our dates of Mahabharata is the youngest date is 1500 BC. So there is a lot of time for this the kingdom, the small kingdom called China. China has it can become bigger. The adaptation, and it can also be the adaptation of name. For example, you don't believe now because China is a very powerful country, but in the ancient time, China was always that entire region was looking at India for all the knowledge and wisdom. You know, the Fahian and Funsang, all these Chinese travelers came to India for education and for getting more knowledge. So China was at that time a kind of a backwaters of India. So maybe they might have taken that name, the China name in Sanskritam, because I have suspected a lot, because we have a lot of scholars from India traveling to this region. So probably the name itself is given by our own scholars, our own ancient scholars,
Possible, yeah.
because they're familiar with China kingdom. then of course, then they will name the entire mainland also China.
So was this mentioned in Mahabharata also, China?
The name mentioned is China only, right? Here, if you can read it, it is
Yes.
China. Like now we pronounce it as China, but in Sanskritam it is written as China.
So it's a Sanskrit word, you mean?
It is a Sanskrit.
Does that mean anything?
No.
Just name.
It is. We can't say it is Sanskrit word, but in the Sanskrit text, the word China is attested, because they don't give any etymology for it. They don't give any meaning for the word China, but the name itself is present as a kingdom, and it is not a very simple reference. It says China came to Yudhishthira during Indraprastha, and they give tribute to Indraprastha by like accepting his dominion. And they give, since it is a cold country, they gave woolen clothes. The tribute from China is a woolen clothes, and Yudhishthira have taken it. And Mahabharata doesn't give any hint that it is a very big kingdom. They just mention it as like a normal, ordinary, small kingdom. There is no speciality given to China.
China. Okay, so that must be the size of that
Yes.
kingdom that time.
Yes.
Okay, that's very interesting. So, what about the other states, like on the eastern states, like Manipur and other states?
Yes.
Was it there or not there?
Let me check if I have then that location. Okay, Kalinga is there up to here. Okay, here I have not represented it. If you look at the, this is the like a little more bigger. So there is a Kalinga is here, and how the Manipura is. This is a little bit confusing to the new anybody just understanding it for the first time. So Arjuna has got many wives. So after marrying Panchali, there was a rule that Panchali has to be with one of the brothers for 1 year, and if anybody sees Panchali when she is with another brother, he has to do a penance. He has to do pilgrimage, etc. So Arjuna accidentally saw the Panchali and Yudhishthira together because he wanted to get some weapons for helping some Brahmana like that. So there was a narrative, and then Arjuna went for a pilgrimage as a prayashchitta. So what happened is that this is the this is the Indraprasth here. This city is mentioned here. Arjuna goes in on a pilgrimage. First, he goes to the Ganga. Here, there was a Naga princess called Ulupi. She is a Naga. This is the Iravati. The here. Okay, there is one minute. The Iravati river I have mentioned. It is here. And there are some Nagas called Airavata Nagas who are actually on the banks of Iravati. And one of the Airavati Naga and his kingdom was here actually. And Ulupi is a princess of the Airavata Nagas. So first Arjuna marries Ulupi, and their son is Iravat. And Iravat is one of the first heroes slain in Kurukshetra war. After Ulupi, Arjuna goes like this. He travels along this Ganga river, goes go to this Anga, Vanga, all these places, and finally reaches Kalinga. And the Mahabharata very clearly mentioned Manipura is a city in Kalinga. Very clear it is mentioned. And we have identified, I have done a lot of research, and currently the archaeologists has excavated a city called Manikapatna. Manikapatna is a port city in Kalinga. And I have identified Manipura with Kalinga because Mahabharata is very clear. Manipura is a Kalinga city. And in Manipura, he marries Chitrangada, who is a ruler of Kalinga. Because there are no, there is no there is no son. Kalinga, that particular Manipura, small kingdom of Manipura, which is a vassal state in Kalinga, there are no princess, no son. So Chitrangada is ruling there. And Arjuna marries Chitrangada, and their son is Vabruvahana. So now what happens? You have this state called Manipura, and how it happened. So my understanding is, that is what I concluded in my research, is that this entire Manipura, the entire royal lineage shifted from here, Kalinga, to northeast. And okay, the Manipura that is further to the east. I have to put the arrow here, and that the entire narrative of uh, uh, association with Arjuna and about Chitrangada, everything is preserved in Manipura, even today. So this is why, even though the Mahabharata narrative, the Manipura is mentioned as a Kalinga city, the entire consciousness has shifted from this small port city of in Kalinga to the Manipur, and then and the entire state is now named as Manipur, and it has happened many times, because in Ramayana there is a city named Pragjodisha mentioned, and Pragjodisha, as per Ramayana, we need to consider it as a western city, somewhere around. We have to consider like somewhere to the west of this line. Yeah, I have there another map. I have identified the Pragjodisha, but later what happens? The entire that Pragjodisha got shifted to the Assam. So this is happening. So, and
You mean the
later
kingdom
Puranas,
got no, wait, the kingdom got shifted or those people got shifted?
the
So you
people,
we are talking about Manipur of today's time, isn't it?
correct.
Okay.
So it's a people also got to get shifted. Once people got shifted, then kingdom also got shifted. I can even tell about what happened. So there was some kind of a migration from this region. So this entire Pragjodisha, the entire the future generations, they have somehow got shifted to the northeast, and they again created a Pragjodisha here. That is the Guwahati, and all the Puranas, which are created later, they identify the Pragjodisha with the Guwahati, because the everything is mentioned very clearly in the northeast. Assam region is very clearly mentioned. Brahmaputra river, everything is mentioned very clearly. But Ramayana, there is no mention of Brahmaputra or anything. Pragjogdisha is clearly mentioned as a western city. So that kind of differences. Even Bali, see, the Kerala people celebrate the Mahabali, but the Mahabali's Rashtra, the Bali Rashtra is mentioned on the Narmada river. So again, similar kind of a migration has happened. That is why the Kerala, the Mahabali is celebrated as a king of Kerala, like that. Because if you look at Bhagavata, Mahabali is mentioned as rolling from Narmada river, and Vamana came and to meet Mahabali. Everything happened in Narmada river. The yaga of Mahabali was in Narmada river. Shukracharya's abode, that is Bhragu Kaksha. Bhragu Kaksha is also in Gujarat, Broj city. So somehow their migration happened from here. So the migrations are one another aspect that I am studying as part of the geography. How the ITHM, all the folklore shift from one place to another. So this is another example of that.
Very interesting. So then I'm really fascinated by the studies you have done and the research you have done. But my question is that all this, what we are trying to put up is we are trying to create the right image of India.
Yes.
We want people to know that how the original kingdoms were. But many people would say that what is the point of studying them now? That is the past and it's gone. So how do we make use of this knowledge practically for this generation?
Ah,
And how and where it is useful, like from a tourism point of view, or from a historical point of view, or from any other thing where it can be used.
yes. So one most important, which I have given as a recommendation after my presentation of my research papers in Delhi for 2-3 conferences, I present the research papers related to Mahabharata geography, and I also talk about travel narratives of in Mahabharata and Ramayana also, and I say the most important application for this is in the tourism industry,
Okay.
because India, I don't know, because we are always under secularism, and uh, we are
Faith.
in a kind of a spell, some kind of a spell, the entire generation in a kind of a spell. Look at Indonesia, they are not, even though it is all Bharatiya culture, they have adopted that culture, and they are not ashamed, or no, they are not shy. They make Garuda statues there. Even the airlines is mentioned as Garuda Airlines. They can print Rama's image in the currency note. all these things. But in India, because of the secularism, people are a little bit shy and hesitant. So but if you think about it, create a tourism circuit, maybe either railway network or a flight or anything. A railway network is much better, where one person is following the path of Sri Rama. So start from Ayodhya, the train start from Ayodhya, and finally the train goes to Chitrakoot, and then from there Dandakaranya, and then Kashkinda, and then finally to Rameshwaram. If you create that kind of a train railway network, tourism network, how much revenue it can generate, and how much more the consciousness, the new generation, they will be a little more conscious about their culture. You create that industry. And similarly, you can have a flight service from Ayodhya to Colombo, saying that Sri Rama's flight from Ayodhya to Lanka. So similar kind of flight service you can launch. Pandavas for this is less popular. The four directions in which the four Pandavas traveled, you make tourism network like that. Okay, you at some tourism network in which I am following Arjuna. Another tourism, I'm following Bhimasena. Start from Indraprastha, Delhi, go to Assam. They also will, the people also will be very happy if you have a tourism, because the tourism industry will grow in Assam, in Bihar, in Uttar Pradesh, in Haryana. Uh, it's a beneficial for everybody. I mean, if people are only looking on money, then there is lot of revenue will be generated. People who are looking on culture, they also are happy. So many things. And you for Sadeva's travel, start from Delhi to reach up to Kerala, or to uh, Tamil Nadu, Pandya.
But
So you
then,
also
no, is fine. But my question is, even if you create the roadmaps according to their travel plans or whatever, still we need to make best use of what research you have done. For example, changing the changing our history books. So,
yes,
what do
yes,
you think about that? What do you think about creating content based on our Vedic scriptures? Because my challenge when I started hinduscriptures.com 15 years back, there was absolutely nobody doing this. I'm very sure 16, 17 actually when I started the research, and I knew it. And I was having the background of internet only. I was working in an internet company, and that is what I had learned 22 years back when I was studying. So my whole core was IT, yeah, and internet, not IT exactly, but specifically internet. And I knew there was nobody there that time. And then when I started my research, there were no scholars like you, or people coming from academic background and talking about it. There were writers and Indology. They were authors, but they were mostly into propagating the Western concept of Indology, the way it
yeah,
is there in various in the university mein jo hai na, they have Indology department. And then there was Mara Pada Hua Sanskrit department was there, जो कोई हार्डली कोई लेता था. एंड देन देर आर वैदिक पाठशालास जो भी बहुत हालत खराब थी तब तो. मैन आई यूज टू ट्रैवल, आई वाज लाइक एब्सोल्युटली इम्पॉसिबल फॉर मी टू stay. I would stay nearby city or nearby place, and then I would travel there to see how they used to study. So from there to till I sit here, I still see that condition में कोई ज़्यादा फर्क नहीं आया है. There is no improvement as such. Ulta Vedic Pashalas have reduced. Numbers have reduced. Only in last 5-6 years, I can see some improvement because of Modi ji. People are more enthusiastic and they want to do. People like you coming on board and talking about it on a larger platform and so upfrontly. And people like us living outside India, we are talking about it like very confidently. Like I remember meeting Modi ji before he became PM, when he was CM, and I was telling him that I'm doing this project. That time I had already launched the website. It was 2012 or something. And then, I told him that whatever work I'm doing and all. But that time the situation was still okay. But now another challenge which I see is that we have too many scholars, actually not many scholars, and many very few Indian scholars. Like we have many Western scholars, non-Indians, non-Hindus, who are doing research and they are doing fantastic job. But we have Indian scholars, but there is no match. You understand? So they need to come on the same platform, on the dates, on the chronology, on the event, on the essence of every aspect of Mahabharat, characters, उनके events कौन से किसने कहाँ किया, कितने साल उनका exile था, कितने बार exile हुआ, क्योंकि उसमें भी I have seen dispute. किसी कोई कहता है कि 12 बार एग्जाइल हुआ, 12 12 साल का, तो हाउ मेनी इयर्स, तो हाउ मेनी इयर्स दे लिव्ड, you know, the life shelf कितना, अगर आप भी सोचो 12 बार 12 साल is a huge number, that means they must have lived more than 1,000 years, isn't it? So that age कितना था, कृष्ण का age कितना था. So ये
Yes.
यूनिफॉर्मिटी जो है, which I have not found yet, I'm still
Correct.
struggling.
Yeah.
हाँ, तो इसी पे I think it's time that you all, because I'm not into research now, I'm done with whatever I wanted to do. Now I just want to propagate, and whatever I've created, the content and the platform, I want others to utilize it and explore it and make it yours. Like for example, you want to send some articles as a researcher, you are free to send us, and that is what we have been telling everybody, that please send your articles. We are going to be, and we are already there as into collecting information about various aspect of all these topics, whether it is history, science, culture, festivals, kuch bhi, matlab there is hardly anything which we have not touched upon, though it is not fully completed. मतलब food की habits बाकी है, बहुत कुछ बाकी है. आयुर्वेदा में बहुत सारे spices का पूरा knowledge मुझे चाहिए, so that way a lot of topics are there. But my request to you is that since you are making so much effort, it's time that you all guys who are working and researching, you need to put everything in order. And there has to be one committee. One, मैंने ये भी propose किया था. I've spoken to a lot of people, higher authorities, that we must have Vedic education system, a Vedic education board, wherein we console, you know, सब कुछ एक जगह पे, then that become the higher authority, and from there you're free to teach as you like. You know, any
Correct.
scholars, whoever wants to teach, no problem. Everyone is free to teach. कोई भी वेद का कोई भी श्लोक ले लो, आपको जो उसमें से topic भी, it's a university, it's a big tree, you know, it's a hundreds of branches. You pick up anything you like and you start teaching or start doing your research. So this one request I have with you, that try to make some sort of platform where every research is amalgamated, properly set up, properly, you know, the chronology is set up, everything is clearly defined. In my mind, if you ask me, if you might see my website hinduscriptures.com, you will see exact definition, exact classification of the content. Because the way, for example, you cannot open a dictionary and learn any subject. Dictionary cannot teach you anything. But when you go as a fresher, if somebody goes to hinduscriptures.com, they know, okay, which are the gurus, which are the gods, why there are festivals. So that categorization, I've taken a lot of pain to put them in place contextually. Similarly, I want you all research also to get into proper shape, proper, you know, timeline पे proper सब कुछ अगर हो गया, तो then it becomes very easy for us to teach the next generation कि okay, this is the way it is, and it is from here you can, आपको जो मीनिंग निकालना हो, भगवत गीता में से आपको जो सीखना हो, इट्स अ पूरा दरिया है, you know, it's an ocean. You can pick whatever you want to pick. But वो 700 shlokas, 18 chapters, properly defined, properly, you know, scripted है. Like, you know, भगवत गीता is properly scripted. नॉर्थ साउथ कहीं से भी nobody will question, लेकिन वेद में ऐसा नहीं है. If I say second मंडला का 10वें चैप्टर का 5th श्लोक, if I say, तो किसी का जो वर्जन है नॉर्थ का या किसी और का, सबका दोनों सबका मिसमैच है. इट्स नॉट द सेम. व्हेन आई टाइप द नंबर कि मुझे ये मंडला में, ये श्लोक में, ये ऋषि का जो भी है, यू नो, बिकॉज ऑल एवरी छंद एवरीथिंग इज डिफाइंड प्रॉपर्ली. सो उन्होंने तो बहुत अच्छा काम किया है, बट वी हैव नॉट डन द ऑर्डरिंग ऑफ द बुक प्रॉपर्ली.
Okay.
Those things I think I would like you to look into it. Anyway, I have so many complaints, but I will not put up everything right now.
Yeah.
All these things what we are doing. Okay, so on your last this thing, what would you like to say on a completing note?
Yes. So the whatever the work you are doing of consolidation, that is much valuable. And one area I have put my own effort is making conferences for fixing the chronology debate. So what happened is that last decade, like 2010 to 2020, is the decade of claims. Like each researcher came and claims. So for example, I was part of many of the conferences where the Kurukshetra war dates were proposed by many people, like Vedavir, and then Ashok Bhatnagar, then Ramamurthy. All these people were all the claim. So that claim period is over now. The individual presentation of my date. Okay, this is my date. Now what happens is that, and I am into that activity now. In November, we are going to make a conference, this chronology dating conference. And we are bringing all the chronologies together, which I have named, on a single platform where we get a kind of a better consolidated date. So this is one important factor, and it has to be some patience to be there because it cannot be fixed in one conference. So what I put a date is like 2021 to 2025. 5 years I'm putting. The date will be clearly out.
Very nice.
The most acceptable date will be clearly out. Second thing initiative I have done is, because my core expertise in geography, I'm connected with a lot of school curriculum textbook committees who are basically, they approached me, and I'm actually putting some time to create a curriculum out of the Mahabharata, Ramayana geography. So I am actually, for the long time, I have focused on Mahabharata. Total around 25 years of my research, around 20 years on Mahabharata. And I have expanded that for Ramayana, and now I am working on Rigved geography. So Rigved, Mahabharata, Ramayana, three different geographies. I am giving to my input for the school textbooks. So the geography part is there. Chronology part is also coming very soon. So by 2025, and again the transition period also will be very valuable. You will start on getting output from the next year onwards. We will get a little much more clarity on both part of it, chronology as well as geography.
That's really nice. Very nice. Okay, so I think we had a wonderful conversation. We have crossed our time limit as well because we had, I mean, I still have quite a few questions, but of course, we have to, kind of respect our time limit. So maybe we'll continue our conversation maybe next time with some other topic, but I still have doubts. So we'll talk about it maybe over the phone. So I think with this, we will end. And thank you. Thank you so much for being with us. I really appreciate your time and efforts, what you are doing. Thank you. Thank you.